Yes, I cut off my majestic dreadlocks and I am back in this earlier setting for some reason. Of course, it doesn't really matter because after I post this video, more than likely I'm gonna get shot. Hey, what's up folks, it's the Methodical AAA. If you don't like me, frankly, I don't give a doo-doo. Anyway, yeah, in case you didn't already read the title, I think that the film Guardians of the Galaxy is rather overrated, overhyped, whatever word you would like to describe that means overrated and or overhyped, I would probably agree with. But unlike many people, I am going to give you reasons as to why I believe Guardians of the Galaxy is rather overhyped. Hopefully this isn't going to be like a 30-minute video. I'm going to try to keep this video as quick and to the point as possible because, one, I don't want to edit a 30-minute video and you see, I always do this. I always ramble. Moving on. Just to get some quick things out of the way. Did I find Guardians of the Galaxy enjoyable? Yes. I found it to be generally enjoyable. Although there are many things that are said about this film. Let me just debunk a few myths. For example, is this film funny? In many sections of this film, it is very funny. When the jokes land, I swear to Christ, the jokes land. Is this film original? Hell no. Seriously, I can sum up the film like this. People that don't like each other are forced to become a team mixed with Star Wars. Hell, that was just Star Wars. And is this the best Marvel movie to ever come out? No. Seriously, have you even seen The Winter Soldier? But I'm getting off track. Let me just give you the reasons as to why I believe Guardians of the Galaxy is rather overhyped. Now, just so you know, in case you didn't already hear me talk earlier, everything in this video is my opinion. If you don't agree with my opinion, that's fine. Of course, I swear to God, if this video gets a lot of views, at the very least, like 20% of the people that watch this video are just gonna spam me with comments like, "Fuck you! Guardians of the Galaxy is the greatest shit ever!" Hey, if you believe that, that's perfectly fine. That's your opinion. That being said, let's get started. Number one, nothing, save for things having to do with the Guardians, is really interesting. What do I mean by that? Well, it was most apparent to me when I was watching the climax of the film. The Guardians, as a team, they work together very well. Yeah, I can honestly say that the best part of the Guardians of the Galaxy is the Guardians of the Galaxy. But everything surrounding them, the supporting characters, the villains, I don't care. They're not interesting at all. For example, Michael Rooker's character, Yondu. Every time he came on screen, I was like, why are you here? Because he just kept on like causing problems for Star-Lord, and it would be perfectly fine if he stole the show, but he didn't. He was just a minor annoyance, really. And it really hit me like in the scene that he has all to himself, like when he kills a bunch of bad guys with his special weapon, and I was like, am I supposed to care? Because I really don't. And the Nova Corps, like pretty much the space police in this film. They pretty much only have one scene before they show up for the climax. And the climax of the film has the Guardians, Yondu's henchmen, forces, whatever you want to call it, and the Nova Corps going up against Ronin. And I'm like, I really am trying to care, but throughout pretty much 90% of the climax of the movie, I spaced out. I was looking at the ceiling. I was seriously getting sleepy because only the Guardians I care about. Yondu and his forces I don't give two shits about because they're not interesting. And as I said, the Nova Corps only have like one scene. I think it's only one scene before Star-Lord actually calls them to help against Ronin's forces. And speaking of Ronin, yeah, it's perfectly fine if, the villains are the least interesting parts of the movie. That's perfectly fine, but it's just really, really, really noticeable. He had, Ronin and his, well, I wouldn't say his henchwoman. His henchwoman is just Nebula. Nebula, she's just kind of there, but Ronin, he has somewhat of an interesting backstory from what I remember. I'm really struggling to remember because I don't care. And another thing, the pink alien girl that was working for the Collector, she does a sacrifice in this film. She holds the MacGuffin and she blows up, destroying the Collector's base of operations. And I'm like, was I really supposed to care? I mean, the film tries to give her, you know, some reason for doing this, because the collector's like, oh, look at the last one who defied me, and it's another pink alien girl in like some cage or something, and I guess that gives her the incentive to say, I'm not going to be your slave anymore, and then just grab the MacGuffin and then blow up. But the film doesn't focus on her enough to actually make me care. That is the problem with the supporting characters in this film. The film doesn't focus on them enough for me to give a shit. Well, hold on. That's not to say that the Guardians themselves are flawless, which leads me to number 2. United we stand, divided we fall. What do I mean by that? That means that the Guardians as a team are so effective. They are interesting as hell when they are a team, but as individual characters, they are not interesting really. Now don't get me wrong, they have interesting backstories, but aside from 2 of them, the Guardians don't have a character arc. I mean, the 2 that actually do, Gamora and Drax, even the film somehow screws that up. I mean, Drax, his character arc is he needs to get back at Ronan. He needs to kill Ronan for killing his family. But he goes up against Ronan twice, and both times he gets his ass whooped. So, and Gamora, I honestly forgot what her character arc was. I guess she was trying to seek redemption, which is perfectly fine, but her character arc constantly gets sidelined by showing her romance with Star-Lord. And that's not satisfactory for me. And speaking of Star-Lord, you know, since he's the main character pretty much, his younger self is the first main character we see, and it's a really dramatic scene, and we see his mother dying of cancer, well, presumably cancer, and she's like, take my hand, and he doesn't want to take her hand, and you would think that would hold on to his character, and you know, he would like have some sort of character arc surrounding that, but no, throughout like 2 hours, the only time that comes back is in the climax of the film when Gamora's like, all right, when Star-Lord grabbed the MacGuffin, I'm gonna get into that later. When Star-Lord grabbed the MacGuffin and he was, you know, starting to, you know, blow up or whatever, and Gamora's like, take my hand, and he just sees, like, in his mind, you know, his mother saying, take my hand, and he finally, you know, takes her hand. I'm glad that the film actually, you know, came back to that 2 hours after it was relevant. It was only relevant within the 5-minute scene at the beginning. Nowhere in the rest of the film does Star-Lord actually come back to the situation surrounding his mother and actually, you know, seem to want to resolve it. You know what I mean? Now I completely understand, you know, time was not on this movie side. I mean, it had to stuff a lot of things into 2 hours. It had to, you know, introduce 5 characters at the very least. It had to introduce 5 characters and get them to hate each other, but also give them a sufficient reason as to why they should become a team, all the while learning to like each other and trust each other. I know that is a lot to fill in a 2-hour film, along with a bunch of other stuff. For what the movie did, it worked out well, but you understand what I'm saying. There was so much more that could have been done, and the movie did not capitalize on it. And number 3, the end doesn't really explain things well. What do I mean by that? The climax of the film, well, at least finally what, you know, the main part of the film that actually is the most interesting part. The Guardians of the Galaxy themselves, forget Yondu, forget the Nova Corps, the Guardians versus Ronan. That is the main conflict. Let me just say this. The best part of the film is, okay, seeing as how like Star-Lord's mom gave him like a bunch of music when he was a kid. He listens to a bunch of, you know, 70s, early 80s, you know, pop hits. And when their ship crashes, there's like a song playing in the background. Ronan, he's about to use the MacGuffin to kill people. And right when he's about to, Star-Lord breaks into song and dance and distracts him. That is the best part of Guardians of the Galaxy. That was hilarious. It was unexpected and it landed. Like, Star-Lord distracts Ronan and grabs the MacGuffin, and the rest of the team, like, everyone grabs hold of Star-Lord and none of them explode. I mean, hell, it took a long time for Star-Lord to even begin to explode, and the movie tries to give us an explanation as to why that is, but that doesn't, at least for me, that doesn't really make any sense. I mean, it's revealed that Star-Lord's father was an alien, and Gamora's like, oh, like, that's probably why you were able to hold on to the MacGuffin so long. She didn't actually say MacGuffin, but you get it. And I'm like, that still doesn't explain anything. Because earlier in the film, the pink alien chick, who, you know, is an alien, she grabbed hold of the MacGuffin and she blew up. So why didn't Star-Lord? Is this to say that alien and human blood makes you super strong or something? Well, if so, then why didn't the film just come out and say that? Instead, they didn't say that, which left me wondering, like, this still doesn't make any sense. I'm so confused. So yeah, at least for me, that is the reason why I feel Guardians of the Galaxy is overhyped. Is it enjoyable? The comedy, as I keep saying this, when it lands, it lands. It's so funny when it lands. But everything else, nothing except for the Guardians doing comedy, is really interesting. It's just there. It is generally enjoyable, but I'm still not really understanding why everyone is saying that this is awesome. I mean, to me, it's not. It's not awesome. It's enjoyable in certain parts, but it's not awesome in any sense of the word for me. It's just not. Of course, you're entitled to your opinion, but this film just doesn't do it for me. That's just me. I must be like one of the 10 people on the planet that actually feel the way I do. But that's my opinion, and bottom line, I'm gonna stand by it, because if I don't, who will? So yeah, my final verdict for Guardians of the Galaxy, out of 100%, I gave it a 78.5. The unexpected part of the climax of the film, that's what propelled it to give it, you know, half a point, because that made me laugh when I was seriously spacing out. So there's that. But that's what I had to say. I'm the Methodical AAA. If you don't like me, frankly, I don't give a doo-doo. Peace.